morning, good morning. How's everyone doing today? Thursday morning is just a couple minutes after 10. Really crazy weather here in Muskoka. I don't remember the last time I ever saw July so full. Totally bizarre. Never seen anything like it. So, another day, another moment to look at the charts. You know what today is? Throwback Thursday. What are the charts you want to take a look at? Send me your recommendations or your, you know what I'm talking about. Your requests. We'll apply the Sherlock trading system to the charts. Figure out what the analysis is. Okay. So let me know. What you guys want to look at? What charts have you been pondering? Any charts that are mysterious? Anything that you're looking at you just can't quite put your finger on what is taking place? I mean, we can start off by looking at the SPX. See what's going on here. Yeah, it's been holding strong, hasn't it? Yeah, we have a really nice trend here formed on the monthly chart. It doesn't look to me like there's any reason why it would stop heading up higher. No reason whatsoever. It's trending upwards, and we have demand being formed as prices going up. So that looks okay. Looks like new demand might be forming on the monthly chart. Price continues higher. Let's see the chart. Update it. Remember we drew that demand zone? It came down, hit the demand, and away she goes. Very nice. Nice move up there, isn't it? Change. Yeah, so that looks good in terms of the SPX. No reason to be seeing anything to the downside, forecasting anything to the downside. What I do see is a few things here that I should point out. This, and also like that. That's what we got going on here. So the 4-hour trend is holding quite nicely on this chart. Nicely. So yeah, to the upside for now. NAS100. Let's take a look at what's going on there. All uphill. Same thing happened here. Look, the demand zone. I think we drew it last time we were examining this chart. We drew this demand. Okay. Dipped into demand. There you go. Anybody trading this asset would have done well with that. Okay. Accuracy of supply and demand. US30. Still holding that supply area here. Daily chart. Once this breaks up, then it gates for a move higher. That's what I see there. Slowly making its way lower, I see. We're getting into the reset there for good supply. Have a descending trend line, which I would draw this, and I would classify this as a downtrend at this point. It's downtrending right now, 4-hour chart. So we got some momentum to the downside. And as I've mentioned, I mean, this area of demand has been contacted so many times right now. Once, twice, 3 times. I mean, it's getting weaker and weaker and weaker with each contact, okay? Unlike conventional wisdom, where multiple contacts would mean it's building up strength, that is not true. Once again, reality is the opposite of what you've been told. The more contacts, the more it's getting weaker. If it ends up responding to the upside, it's for other reasons, not because of multiple contacts. Because of an accumulation of a position was taking place there. But usually multiple contacts of an area, it does not equal that area is going to. Alright, what's our likes at? 20? Can we get it up to 40 today? That'd be nice to get up to 40. Paul Gardy, good morning. Morning. Let's see. You want to look at gold? Yeah, we can look at gold. We're getting that strength to the upside now. So we reacted lower in the charts. I had written that I was suspecting that we were going to get some kind of a move to the upside from these lows. And the reason being was because of what we were looking at on the other charts, the euro, the dollar, all the other charts were basically giving us a consensus of what we should expect. And that was a push to the upside. So now we started that push to the upside. We're not done that push yet. Let me just adjust this here. As to what it's doing. So now we're getting that push to the upside. As you can see, it is falling short of hitting supply. So that means there's room for price to head higher. So we're watching for it to head higher. And then once it gets in this area, what it does is going to be very critical. Very, very critical. Okay? So we'll watch and see. We're not up there yet, but I don't see any reason why it wouldn't continue higher here. That's pretty much all there is to say about gold. Okay? Not much else to say about it. Euro. So Euro, we contacted an area of demand here on the weekly chart, and now we are just waiting to see what happens. Okay. We had price looking very bearish at one point, right? When we had a candle like this. So remember what I've always said about the candles. Don't get lured into trading emotionally, because one of the reasons why, traders get suckered into doing the wrong thing is because they trade with their emotions. When they were looking at this candle like this, it's looking extremely bearish, right? I mean, very bearish. In fact, your mind would look at that and say, oh, that's a bearish engulf, even though it's not even close to it. It'd have to close, at least, and we would want the red portion of the candle to be higher and all that stuff. But you would look at that and your mind would be thinking, ooh, this is very bullish, or bearish, sorry. It's very bearish. Maybe we should go short. And so then you wait a little bit longer and it goes right back and retraces up. Okay? Now it's not looking so bearish anymore. Now it's looking like 2 candles of consolidation at a demand zone, and that was the reality the whole time. The reality the whole time is that institutional demand was contacted. Okay, that's it. So unless this demand was to be taken out, nothing else exists except for the banks are consolidating and we're at demand, period. And when price consolidates at demand, it usually means they're accumulating a position, a long position, and they're going to throw price to the upside. That's what it usually means. Okay, so there's no reason to suspect that that's not going to take place this time. The only thing that would make me conclude price is heading lower is if this gets taken out. Then yes, lower and even lower. Okay, you open up this doorway here and it drops like that. You hold this and it goes up like that. Okay, pretty much what it comes down to are those two things. Aussie CAD. We have Aussie CAD holding an area of supply here on the daily chart. Multiple contacts, constantly bouncing up and down, and it's doing nothing. Okay, just ranging at that supply. So there's not much more to say about it. And there's no trend lines here. Okay, the only trend line is this one. So we are still downtrending here. Downtrending with supply in play. So it's still looking okay for now. Weekly chart, monthly chart, they're not, the greatest looking charts for a move lower. We're sitting inside demand here on the monthly chart, but once that gets taken out, then bye-bye. This will drop very easily. What is the target for Euro-Japanese yen for short term next week? For short term next week, Euro-Japanese yen short term next week. Well, that would depend, my good man. That would depend, because we're watching this here, this weekly area of demand. We're watching for here. So short term, we're in demand, but the demand is getting weaker. So you have to put things into context. Okay, it's not as simple as what you think. Let's clear this chart up. If we were looking at a daily chart, okay, and price was heading up, and we had a trend line up, and we determined that the trend on this chart was up, okay, and price was coming down, retracing down into an area of demand. Here's price, and price was just about to hit a demand zone, and you asked me that question, hey, what's your short-term outlook for Euro-Japanese yen? I'd say up. Okay? Without question, up. Because there'd be no reason for me to say anything else. We're dealing with the daily chart. We're dealing with the daily uptrend. Okay? Price is coming down, just about to contact an area of demand. The short term would be up. Because short term, remember, is multiple hours, multiple days. So after multiple hours, we'd expect price to be up. After multiple days, we'd expect it to be even higher. So that would be what the forecast would be. Now we look at the weekly chart. Okay. We had an uptrend. I don't believe we're going to have that uptrend soon. We haven't had that confirmed just yet, but it's about 98% that this uptrend is going to break. Okay? And we have a demand zone that was contacted one time here, and then it was contacted a second time. So unlike conventional wisdom, things that get hit multiple times do not become stronger, they become weaker. So then we have to conclude that this area of demand is becoming weaker. The second test of it was very deep into the zone. It is likely going to break. What is price going to do over the short term? No idea. It could sit sideways short term. It could rally short term. It could drop short term. So there is no forecast on this one. If you set, because short term is multiple hours, multiple days. So we could still be sitting inside that area of demand over multiple days. Right? Considering when you look at the weekly chart, let me draw out that weekly area of demand, show you what it looks like on the daily chart. That's this area here. Okay? And so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days that price has been sitting inside this weekly area of demand on the second test of it. So short term, multiple hours, multiple days. I mean, it could be sitting in here for another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days if it wants to. So there's nothing on the charts that would indicate exactly what should be taking place from here on in. That's the point I'm trying to make. There are times when we look at the chart and it is evident what should be expected of price. And there's times when we look at the chart and it's not evident. Okay? The structure, the trends, the lack of trends, the phase that the market is running through can be very unpredictable. So there's no way to forecast what's going to happen with this pair over the short term. There's no way. Okay? Not at this point. So difficult to say. If you ask me, hey Kevin, what's your long-term forecast on Euro-Japanese yen? What would be your long-term forecast? Long-term is multiple weeks and multiple months. Okay? Multiple weeks, multiple months. So I look at what's taking place here on the chart. I bring into play the context of what is in play right now. What is price doing? Well, it looks like it's about to remove an area of demand that the banks created on the weekly chart. That's what it looks like. All indications are that is going to happen. Then I examine how long it's been taking so far to accomplish this. And I take that into consideration when determining what is likely going to happen with the creation of more weekly candles and multiple months. And I'd have to conclude with what I am seeing right now. And, you know, let's say I was a detective and I was putting together all the evidence for a case. Okay. Now, you know, you need to have a lot of strong evidence to win the case. Otherwise, if it's not strong enough, then the judge will rule it not strong enough for a guilty verdict or innocence. But we're looking at this and we're trying to build the case for price dropping. Okay? Because the evidence is suggesting that's what's going to take place. So I would say over the long term, meaning multiple weeks, I'd have to suspect that something like that is going to happen. Okay? Now, it could be like that. Or, and let me screenshot that for you so you can see. That's one option. What else can happen? Well, get something that looks like this. Okay? That's another thing that can happen. We can get something that looks like this. I think all the evidence is suggesting that the chances of price eventually going lower is about 80%. Okay, that's what I would conclude. The chances of price going lower over time is about 80%. Now, how it's going to get there, that is what is in question because of what is taking place. This could play out multiple ways, okay? So this is one way, this is a second way, third way. The only thing similar with all these charts is that it eventually goes lower. But the method in which it took to get there are different. But each of them took, multiple weeks and multiple months to accomplish the end result. That's why if you asked me what's the long-term forecast on this, I'd say it's going down. Based on the evidence of what I've collected with this pair, it's that it's going to go lower. Okay? So that's what I would have to conclude. But short term, could not tell you. Could not tell you short term. Because it's not there. It's impossible. Nobody can tell you short term. Nobody. And if they do, if somebody said, yeah man, short term's going to go up, if it goes up, they're lucky. Plain and simple, there's no doubt about it. It's just luck. All right? Unless they see something that I'm not seeing, and I doubt that. Highly doubt it. Okay? So that's Euro Japanese Yen. Oil. All right, let's load up the oil chart. Let's take a look here. Still sitting up there at the highs. We just removed massive supply. And now price is just sitting there. So it can do anything. Again, I've told you about the context of where price is right now. So we have an upward trend on the weekly chart that's holding. We had massive supply just removed. So it's up to what the banks do right now. Okay? It's up to what the banks do. If the banks determine that they want to push price down to retrace to areas of demand, that's what they're going to do. If they're going to just throw in some demand live time right now, we can't see that. We can't see that before they do it. It's impossible. Not at this point. Okay? So, as I mentioned previously, the daily chart does not look very strong to continue to move upwards, right? The 4-hour chart hasn't got a trend. It's falling apart. I'd have to throw some caution on the daily chart. Okay? It's more neutral than anything. The weekly chart is definitely bullish. And this monthly chart, I'd have to say it's neutral for me right now. Okay? It's neutral because, yes, it's been going up, but there isn't any trend on this chart. Okay? They have been creating demand in terms of, taking a long time to enter into long positions. So they're creating demand on this chart. But the only chart that has a trend is the weekly, and that is not a very strong trend from what I'm looking at right now. Okay? So the quality of this trend is not high. If I had to rate the quality of the weekly trend out of like 100%, 100% being like totally solid, I would say this one is about 50%. Okay? Which is not good. Okay? That wouldn't be strong enough under normal circumstances to continue price to the upside. All right? So, as you can see, there's really nothing here to go by getting into oil into long positions. All right? You could, and if it was to go higher, you're lucky. Period. Okay? Because when you know the reality of what's going on in the charts, you're like, oh boy, man, I dodged a bullet there. Yeah, that's right. You dodged a bullet. Many of the students who become students with us, they realize when they learn the reality of the market They realized just how foolish they were before in terms of their trading, because you don't even realize the dangers you are getting yourself involved in when the markets are in certain circumstances. So always know your risks. If you don't know the risks, if you don't know what you're up against, you can get in big trouble. Okay? So anybody going long oil, boy oh boy, yes, it could work, but darn, you're playing with fire right now, because the odds are not in your favor that it will work. And if it works, it's because the banks will come in and buy after you've already bought. You know how risky that is? How do you know? Unless you're working alongside the banks and they're giving you a phone call saying, hey, listen, this is what we've got planned. We're going to be buying oil, in about a week's time, so now you can get in. Unless you've got that type of connection, which nobody does, you shouldn't be getting involved, because we're just doing the analysis on the chart, right? We're just applying what we call the Sherlock analysis process, where we're examining the evidence of what we know to be true, looking at the structures, looking at the demand, looking at how they have formed price. How are they forming the candles? How are they forming the charts? Are they good? Are they positive? Does it exude bullishness or bearishness? What are we seeing? And then that gives us a conclusion that's either tradable or not tradable, and this is not tradable. So I would stay clear of this chart for now. Okay. Euro Aussie remaining strong for now, and Aussie's supply and play building a case for a move higher. Zones to consider. Iran. Okay, thanks for the explanation. 80% seems to be a indication of a good trade. An indication of not of a good trade. 80%. If I said that, we're looking at a trade setup, and it's 80% chance that this zone will hold and price will play out, then yes, it's a good indication of a trade. But which one were we looking at? Just trying to recall. Was it gold that we were looking at? Oh no, Euro Japanese yen. The chance of price dropping over the long term? 80%? Yeah. Yes. Over the long term? Okay. But how do you position yourself? Okay. So just don't look at that. Oh, 80% seems to be a good indication of a good trade. Yeah, but there's no trade setup here. We see price is likely going to drop, but where do you base your risk? If you just wanted to open up short positions, you'd have to know where to put your stop losses. Because again, it can play out in multiple ways, right? So where are you going to put your stop loss? So that's the thing. The better way to trade something like this is you wait for them to remove the supply. Once they remove wait until they remove the demand. Once they remove their own demand, then they'll be building formations to the downside. Downward trends, they'll be filling the market with supply. Then there will be a trade setup. We're just giving you a percentage of the forecast, the likelihood of the forecast working out. Okay. Look at cable. Sure, we'll look at cable. Not much to see here. Okay. There's not much to see here. We contacted supply on the higher time frames, and the trend line's no longer valid. Price is just coasting sideways. Okay. There's no demand here. There's only supply here. If price rallies, it has nothing to do with what's happening with the pound. I'll tell you that right now. It will rally because of the other charts and what's taking place on the other charts. So there's nothing really to look at here. The 4 hour, it was responding to demand. As you can see, price dropped inside demand and then rallied. contacted supply, and then dropped. So price is in a range right now. So what is next? A little bit down, a little bit up? Who knows? I don't know. I'm not sitting next to the bankers and seeing what their algorithms are programmed to do, so I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Okay? And again, let's break it down this way. When we look at the monthly chart, I would say, let's see, so it's in a range. So there's neutral sentiment there. Neutral sentiment here. Neutral sentiment here. And neutral sentiment here. Okay? There you go. That is what the analysis says. I could pick that up in, 5 seconds. What the sentiment is in regards to each of those charts. So if they're all neutral, there's nothing to base any type of trade off of. There's no guaranteed momentum in either direction that is expected over the short term, mid-term, long term. Okay? Over multiple weeks, multiple months, price could end up dropping. There's nothing to dictate on this chart that price is going to move up exactly from where it is right now. Nothing. So it could drop. So I wouldn't want to trade this chart for this reason, because there's nothing here. Nothing here to indicate anything, any direction with high odds. Okay. What's our like situation at 33? I appreciate that. That's good. It's getting up there. We're just a few more shy. And I'll look at one more chart, and then I'll let you guys get back to your days. Let's see. Pound, Japanese yen. Pound, yen. Okay, so if we don't know what the pound is going to do, then we don't know if there's going to be strength in the pound or weakness. Okay? Like immediate strength or weakness. We can see that on the monthly chart we have an uptrend, but price is at the highs. Okay? Look at the trend line. Okay? First contact, second contact. Look how high price is with respect to that trend line. Dangerous, because we could see a drop. Not likely, but how much higher is it going to go away from that trend line? Do you know how much higher? I don't. If we look at the daily chart, no trend. No trend on the 4-hour. And we have an upward trend here on the weekly chart. Look at the trend line. If I draw the trend line, okay? Look how high we are from the trend line currently. Alright? So there's always a tendency for price to revert back to the trend lines unless new trends are formed, and I don't see that on the daily chart. I don't see any new trends being formed here to support a move higher on the weekly chart. So dangerous. Very dangerous chart to trade because of those reasons. So we'd have to have a very clear indication of what to expect from the pound, which we don't have. And US dollar, Japanese yen, we'd have to have a very clear indication what to expect from the US dollar, Japanese yen. Now, the only thing I can tell you is there isn't a very clear indication of what's going to take place with the US dollar, Japanese yen. But what I can say is that we do have supply in play. So the tendency is that price will drop. Okay? That's what usually happens in situations like this. But no trend, no trend, no trend, no trend, no trend anywhere. So again, we have another situation where there's no direct momentum that's going to be coming into the market because of any specific thing. You know, there are no trends to help facilitate strong moves in any direction. So we can say there's a tendency for price to want to drop like this because of the supply that's in play, but how long will it take to do that? Are we looking at something that will take a very long time? You know, is it going to be very long term? Is it going to be long term? Or is it going to just take multiple weeks, multiple days, and then we're going to see, a massive drop from here? So it's difficult to say. I'm not sitting with the bankers looking at what their algorithms are up to, so I couldn't tell you. So that, in essence, makes the pound yen a very risky chart to trade. I would not be trading this chart. Not now. So I'll be sitting on the sidelines and waiting for now. Alright, ladies and gents, so that's it. I'll wrap it up there. So you see what we're dealing with. There are some circumstances that are good to trade in, and there's some that are not. We have some charts that are nice. We have some charts that are setting up nicely for trades, but other charts are not high odds. And you have to know the difference between what is high odds based on real indications of what the banks are doing with price, and understanding what phase the market is in. And if you can do that, then you can avoid trading bad pairs and just focus your attention on the ones that are high odds. When you focus on the ones that are high odds, that have all the indications there for you, then you'll see better results in your trading. Alright, that's pretty much what it comes down to. So that's it. Thanks for joining me today, and tomorrow, Friday. And we also have a level 3 session that we will be doing tomorrow as well. So I'll see all of you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day and take care.